what is the biggest bottleneck at the moment? What is the biggest challenge at the moment? Where is the huge dependency from you as the owner for your business?
Welcome to the 5 Questions Podcast, where we unlock real estate and business insights one question at a time. Welcome to the 5 Questions Podcast. I am your host, Mario Lamarre. Our guest on today's show is an entrepreneur, business strategist, and host of the Freedom Entrepreneurship Podcast. He helps entrepreneurs build businesses that scale without becoming prisoners to them, focusing on systems, founder psychology, AI leverage, and what he calls business architecture for freedom. This is going to be a powerful conversation about growth, mindset, and building a business that actually serves your life instead of consuming it. Welcome, Stephan Poschik. Welcome to the show, Stephan.
Thank you so much, Mario. I'm really looking forward to our conversation. And thank you for having me on your show.
Stephan, the concept of the podcast is real simple. I ask 5 questions either about real estate or business, and we get straight to the point. You ready?
Ready when you are.
Okay, first question I have for you. You say freedom isn't a lifestyle, it's a business architecture. I like that. What does that actually mean? And why do most entrepreneurs completely get this wrong?
Yeah, I love this question already. Yeah, I love this question. So I see a lot of entrepreneurs chasing their dream with their company and sometimes ending up with a lifestyle business, but mostly ending up with a job they created themselves and they are just stuck. Because when I leave corporate, for example, and I see this with thousands of business owners and thousands of entrepreneurs. They made some kind of career. They left the corporate world. They wanted to build their own thing. They wanted to become an entrepreneur because they were chasing their dream or their purpose or their why, whatever. And then they built something. They even became somehow successful, but with the price of making way less money and working way more than before. And the reason is because they are somehow stuck either in exchanging time against money. For example, all the coaches, consultants, trainers, if you are just doing one-on-one coaching, you are just exchanging time against money. You are just in a job, what you created for yourself. But it's not scalable. It's not unlimited growable. You are going to have a very limited amount of freedom at some point. So to get to a point where you achieve freedom, where you have the ability to just step away for 2 weeks from your business and the money is still coming in, and step away probably to take care of your kids or your loved ones or your elders, or have the opportunity to also disappear for a month if something bad happens, maybe to a loved one. You need to create a business architecture that allows that. And otherwise, your business is just crumbling or basically just breaking a couple of hours after you left as a business owner.
I like the fact that you use the word architecture, because it's like building, for example, a house. You don't buy the land and order the wood and the nails, and then the next day you start building a house. You actually design it first. You have plans. You know every step of the way for the end result. And that should be the same thing when you create a business. And so that's I really like you using that term architecture, because it makes sense.
Yeah. You know, Mario, I even use the same picture when I do, for example, coaching in our online academy and things like that. So when you want to build a big skyscraper, of course you want to have the rooftop or the penthouse or whatever. But to be able to put the rooftop terrace or the penthouse onto it, you first need to have the land, you need to dig a hole, you need to lay a foundation, you need to start with the floor 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I try to describe this too. Yeah.
That's good. Second question I have for you: a lot of entrepreneurs build businesses that end up owing them. uh,
Oh yeah.
I've been there. What is the biggest warning signs that someone has accidentally built themselves a prison instead of a company?
I would say that depends on your resilience you have, where you see it first. Um, a lot of people are stuck in a plateau,
Yeah,
and when you are at a plateau as an entrepreneur, and you tried maybe already multiple attempts to grow to the next phase, to scale to the next phase, but for whatever reason you are just plateauing, you cannot get ahead, you cannot be bigger, even if you try to work more or you try to work in more intelligent. That's a very, very clear sign that you built an architecture and there is something wrong in the architecture you built. Of course, like I mentioned before, depending on the resilience, a lot of entrepreneurs just try to out hustle their the bad business architecture they built. So the first thing normally with what entrepreneurs is they try to work harder. Then they try to work more. They try
yeah,
to invest more hours. But every person is just limited in time. We are just running out of time and at some point also as energy. And that are very, 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 very specific signs where you really see, okay, you are plateauing, you are hitting a ceiling, you are trying so many different things, but somehow you cannot get ahead. That's a very, very clear sign that your architecture is not right. The second thing is what I always recommend is do the 14-day vacation test. Just disappear for 14 days and think about maybe you cannot even go away for 14 days.
yeah,
That's already a very clear sign. But when you would go away for 14 days, what is going to break first? Is it your revenue? Is it your marketing? Is it delivering? Is it customer service? What's the first thing that's going to break if you as the business owner would disappear for 14 days?
yeah. That those are two great signs that people should not push under or push away or what's the expression? Shove under the carpet.
Yeah,
If you have to put more time into your business, there's a problem. It's supposed to be, as it builds, less and less time.
yeah,
And if you can't step away, well, there's another problem. So,
yes.
great insights there. Question number three I have for you. You talk a lot about founder psychology.
Yeah.
In your experience, what mindset or emotional pattern destroys more businesses than strategy ever does?
That's a wonderful question. Let me use myself as an example. So when I started my first business over 25 years ago, Mario,
Yeah,
I was still in school and I had no idea what I was doing. I got raised with a very poor money mindset. I got raised by my grandparents, which were wonderful people, but they basically grew up during World War II and in the years after. So for them, every person that became successful or that became wealthy was somehow not kosher, not right, because they took money away from other people. They basically took advantage of other people to get to a point where they were wealthy and on and on.
yeah, yeah,
And that's one of the examples I personally needed to work on the, the hardest in the last 25 years to figure out what are my limiting beliefs. What limiting beliefs do I have from school, from my upbringing, from my family, from things that happened to me at a young age, and to really identify them and then get rid of them. So, for example, money mindset was a very, very big one. And I see this as a huge problem with a lot of people that they cannot ask for money or they cannot charge a decent amount of money for their services or for their products. Another thing, what I see in a lot of coachings and mentorings, what we are doing in my companies with entrepreneurs is um, so many people get raised that they are not allowed to speak up. Shut up, don't speak so loud, don't talk to strangers, don't show off,
Be
always
in the
fly under
shadows.
the radar.
Be in
Right.
the
Yeah.
shadows. Yeah.
Always fly under the radar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, that's not working as an entrepreneur. Every single business on this planet is just making money if somebody else knows that this business or product or service exists.
Yeah.
And it's not working if you always fly under the radar or be in the shadows. Then nobody knows that you are exist and nobody can pay money for your services. Yeah. That's another very, very common one. And a third one is don't ask for help. You always need to figure it out yourself. And you know what? The funny part is at some point in my entrepreneurial journey, I had a realization where I was thinking back at school and what are they doing and what are they teaching us in school? You are not allowed to cheat, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You cannot look to your neighbor and just copy and write what your neighbor is doing. But you know what? As an entrepreneur, one of the most intelligent things what you should do is cheat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't reinvent the wheel. Just find a mentor, find a coach, find a role model, and you can just mimic, multiply, master what he's already doing, and then you do it for yourself. You apply it for your life, you apply it for your business, and
I love that. I
yeah,
love that because it's true. And
yeah,
even in my case, in the past, every time I tried to do something on my own that I didn't know enough about,
yeah,
I either took longer than it's supposed to or lost money that I could have saved if I listened to someone who did it before me.
right,
And you're right. This comes from mentalities of our upbringing or sometimes our own ego. We want to show the world that we're the best and we know what we're doing.
yeah,
Why not be humble? Be humble, ask for help. It's not about competing. It's about putting an honest service or an honest product out there. And if it is that, it's going to take off on its own. If there's a
yes,
need for your service or your product and it's being put out there honestly, it's going to work.
yeah.
That's good.
That's so true, Mario. I couldn't agree more.
Fourth question I have for you. Everybody talks about AI right now. Most people are just playing with tools, the different tools that are every day. There's a new AI tool. How should entrepreneurs actually be using AI to create leverage and freedom in their business?
That's also a very great, very cool question. So you mentioned I really talk a lot about freedom entrepreneurship, and one of the four pillars is AI as a freedom lever. So the interesting part around AI is we entered this AI period so fast. And
Yeah,
so we have people who are on a very, very different stages when it comes to AI. So I try to give you three different stages here because if somebody is at the very, very beginning of AI, just find out what are repetitive tasks, recurring tasks you are doing on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, maybe on a daily basis. And then you can just apply an AI tool to make it easier. Let's say you need to review 10 different documents every single week, and you need to read hundreds of pages every single week. Use an AI tool that's going to summarize that or help you. That could be a very, very first step. Yeah. When you are already in a little bit and more advanced space, so when you are using ChatGPT or Gemini or other tools like that, Claude or something like that, so you already are using different LLMs, so large language models, then you can start to build processes, AI supported processes. So,
yeah,
what is an AI supported process? Maybe you have multiple steps in this business process where AI can do part of the work. Let's, for example, take content creation, because content creation is a very interesting opportunity, or a lot of people are doing. So you have your show, and I also have my podcast. So when we have our podcast, we take the recording and we feed the recording into an AI tool. And this is going to transcribe the whole show and is also going to make snippets. So
Yeah.
small different video segments what the marketing department is going to use to create LinkedIn postings, marketing postings, to create newsletter, to create blog postings. Sometimes I use show recordings that I'm going to adapt, and it's going to be a book chapter in the future. So this would be an AI process. Why? Because I'm doing a show every single week, and every single week these tasks are going to recur again and again and again. Now,
It would I because I know what you're talking about, it would be a nightmare now if we had to do, me and you, our own edits, our own scripts, every single, imagine just putting every single shorts that we put out there.
oh my
It
God.
would be I don't think I would do a podcast. I wouldn't have a
No.
podcast at that point.
But Mario, when I started with my first show and my first podcast years and years ago, I had a full team doing that.
Yeah.
I had a full team, multiple people. They were sitting there and literally listened to my recording and transcribing it manually and then doing the video cutting and all this. Unbelievable. Yeah.
That's crazy. So,
Yeah.
okay, we were on the second level. So,
Yeah.
automating the processes. So, we
Yes.
started with the tools. Now
Yeah.
we're automating the tools. What's the next one?
Yeah. So the next one, that would be basically the last one where we can go at the moment, is a fully AI automated workflow. And a fully automated AI workflow would mean no human touch is needed anymore after you set it up. So in the second one, in the first one, you just use it like a tool. In the second one, you still have human interaction because you are using multiple tools or something needs to be done by humans. The last one would be the fully AI automated process where you have multiple AI tools, multiple AI agents working together like a department on their own and creating an end result with no human interaction in between. So this, depending on, again, what business you have, let's say the bookkeeping. Yeah, let's say the bookkeeping you do not need in Austria. The bookkeeping is very, very bureaucratic, very, very complicated. I need to save all the invoices we get for with the emails. Then we need to upload it into different folders. We need to attach it to different bank accounts or credit card accounts. Then we need to submit it to the tax accountant and on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
In this case, you would basically set up a process that the AI and the agents are basically monitoring the emails, and immediately they are going to take the invoices, give them to the right folders, basically do the full accounting, and are going to submit the sales tax report, what we are doing or what we need to do on a monthly basis in Austria. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't touch the video. I don't look into the emails anymore. I do not touch the invoices. I do not look at the accounts. Everything is done automated by the AI. And the end result is basically once in a month, the sales tax report is submitted, completely automated. Nobody is touching it anymore. Yeah.
I had a picture that popped up in my head. Imagine a factory and you have all these workers working, and
Yeah.
there's the supervisor. What does the supervisor do? He walks around a lot in a factory. You don't see him work and put things together like the workers do on a chain, you know? So then he has a lot of free time. How come he always has time to go get a coffee and walk around with a coffee? How come he always has time to go outside and have a cigarette break or something? Because he has less to do. He just comes in and checks. That's what your role become when you use a fully automated AI process in your business. We're
Correct.
not saying
Yeah.
you abandon it, but you have a lot less to do. You're now a supervisor. You come and check here, check there, but you can step away and go on vacation and just check, remotely, or make a few phone calls if you
Correct.
have some
Yeah.
employees, That's
That's
great.
exactly it. That's exactly it. Yeah. So and then suddenly this AI governance, where a lot of people are starting to talk about it, or it's pretty common in some areas. Then this AI governance come into place because yes, you should monitor this process because you should not trust completely blindly the outcome.
Yeah.
But okay, please, human, check the outcome, check the final result like a quality control. Yeah,
Yeah.
when you have the factory, somebody at the end is going to check if the quality is still fine, if the
Yeah.
quality still is great. Yeah, that's what AI governance should also make sure that this AI automated process it's not spitting out weird things. Let's call it that way.
Stephan, last question for you today. If someone's listening right now, feels maybe overwhelmed, stuck,
Yeah.
constantly working, like we say, in the business instead of on the business,
Yeah.
what's the first practical step they should take this week to break that cycle?
That's a great question. Yeah. Um, Make inventory of your own business or if your situation on your situation. So what do I mean with inventory? Really take at least an hour or 2 hours on the weekend or right in the morning before the calls start, before the customers start, where you really have the opportunity and sit down and be clear what is the biggest bottleneck at the moment. What is the biggest challenge at the moment? Where is the huge dependency from you as the owner for your business? And this is where you need to start. So identify the bottleneck, the biggest one, and then try to break down the bottleneck into multiple smaller pieces because probably the bottleneck is a huge one. Again, an example. If you are the only person which is selling in your company, if you don't sell, you are not going to generate any revenue, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you cannot change this from one day to the next because you probably need to rethink your pricing. You need to increase products. You need to restructure your product range. You probably need to add additional products. You need to build a sales team. You need to build an onboard. You see, so one big challenge can have a lot of different small pieces that needs to be fixed over time to remove yourself from this bottleneck. So identify the bottleneck and then break down the bottleneck into small pieces you can actually start to work on.
That's
And
a
then
great.
do a
Go ahead. Priority.
prioritization. Thank you very much. Prioritization. Oh my God. Of these small steps and start with the highest priority.
I love that because that's exactly why people feel overwhelmed in the first place. They
Yeah.
see a big mountain. Well, sure, there's a mountain. Now, how do you get to the top? It's one step at a time. So the inventory list is, I really like that. I find this is key. And then once you have an inventory list, it's all broken down. Then what do you need to work on first?
Yeah.
And that is where we solve the problems of entrepreneurship.
Yes, absolutely.
Stephan,
That's so true.
Stephan, thank you so much for being on the Five Questions podcast with us today. I hope our listeners will take a piece of your wisdom on their journey, and you brought a lot of good insights on entrepreneurships and business building. So thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Mario. Really, really appreciate it. You asked great questions, and it's really amazing what you are doing for your community with your show. Really, really awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll talk soon. Thanks for tuning in to the Five Questions podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell on our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. Stay tuned for more insights and tips to transform your real estate and business game. See you next time.